What's up, everybody? Joe White here, and today we're talking once again, about Dave Meltzer and his ever convoluted, clouded mind when it comes to the wrestling business. How he thinks everything is supposed to be flippity floppity floppity flu with no storyline in there, and about how, he blames WWE for AEW's downfall right now, and how he blames constantly blaming other sports for the reason why people's not tuning into AEW live. Which I think that if we were to look, I have not looked personally. I think that if we were to look at the 7-day DVR numbers, which are Nielsen keeps track of how many people watch live, and then they also have a 3-day and 7-day. If I'm Might be 3, 7, and 10, but I believe it's just 3 and 7 DVR numbers, which means they track how many people who have recorded that show go back and watch those recordings after 3 days. And I think it's 3 and 7. So it's after 3 days and 7 days. Um, Again, there may be a 10-day number in there as well, but that doesn't matter that much because it's been 10 days. By the time 10 days rolls around, it's old news. Um, So they don't mention those because I bet you if you were to add up all the numbers, WWE would still beat them, but that AEW number would be a little bit better. So I'll give credit there. They're probably kicking ass on the 7-day and 3-day DVR numbers. Why? Because people want to fast forward through all the bull crap on their show and try to filter through. It's like gold mining. You put what you find in the pan and you swill it around in water and maybe get a nugget or two in there. Um, so Meltzer, first off, in this clip I'm going to play you, I find it astonishing how he doesn't know what wrestling shows he's been to as far as WWE goes. WrestleMania 31 was in San Jose, California, at Levi Stadium. Meltzer was there. I remember how he was talking about how he got to sit up in the press box and do all the stuff, and WWE treated him very well. But here in this clip, here it is 10 years later, he doesn't remember. Again, he's like the Joe Biden of the wrestling news media right now. Guess what? And by the way, so, I mean, whatever, Dave. And then they're talking about Garrett Gonzalez, his co-host there, is going to be talking something about how. Well, I'll just play this clip and we'll come back and discuss it. But I thought it's funny how Meltzer doesn't know when WrestleMania 31, what WrestleMania was in San Jose. Let's roll this clip right now.
Itself, but basically, I asked my kid who the last wrestling show he would have gone to would have been WrestleMania 31. I think I'm going to guess that was the last one. So the big WrestleMania at Levi's. So he hasn't been to wrestling shows.
Wasn't that like 26? Not 31.
10 years. No, 31. WrestleMania 31. That was in Santa Clara.
Oh, was that? For some reason, I think it was.
26 would have been Arizona, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
it feels like 10 years. I don't know. Okay. But anyway.
Yeah, so, he's
okay.
probably 13 years old or something at that point. And so I said, hey, do you want to go to the AEW show? His first answer was, who's going to be on it? And I said, I don't know. I can tell you who might be on it, but I'm not 100% sure. And his second thing was like, if it was Raw, at least I know that I would know people there on Raw, so I would go to Raw if it was Raw. That was the second thing. And that is part of it, right? Is if you have all these ex-WWE folk, you have them for a reason because they're very well known, but you don't tell people that they're going to be there. Then you go with this idea of like, I really don't know who's going to be there, so I don't want to risk going and not seeing someone who I would think of as an old favorite or whatever. The second one is I have a buddy who's got a 8 or 9-year-old son, and he asked him if he wanted to go to Dynamite. And this kid is so in love with WWE right now. I saw him a couple months ago, And I was like, oh, yeah, like I've talked to Cody Rhodes before. And he was like, because we had done the interviews, and he was like, oh my, like he was like starstruck. Like, you talked to Cody Rhodes. Like, that is like the most amazing thing in the world. But he's so dialed into WWE. He was like, why? I'm not going to go to watch AEW. Like, that's the other guys. Like, I'm a WWE fan. So when you get to like, you know, your commentary about being second place, it's kind of hard to see what that means tangibly. Like, you can't really see what it means in person, except if you see it through the eyes of somebody who's kind of hook, line, and sinker. Like an 8-year-old kid is going to be hook, line, and sinker for that kind of marketing. And he's like, no, I don't want to go see that. I would only go if it was WWE. So I was just like fascinated by his answer. I was like, oh my God, that's kind of unbelievable.
So it's like they're going out and canvassing their friends about how, why don't you watch AEW? And it goes back to the tribalism thing. They're the enemy. Why would I want to watch them? You know, Cody's on WWE now. And they're also talking about how they have a show in San Jose coming up this Wednesday night. It's the Wednesday after Wrestle Dream. And we don't know who's going to be on it. Well, you don't know who's going to be on it because it's the Wednesday after a pay-per-view. Their Wrestle Dream pay-per-view is today, as of this recording. So, but, however, WWE made sure to know that Gunther was fighting Sami Zayn on the Raw after Bad Blood. They made sure to tell you that there was tag matches happening on the Raw after Bad Blood. They made sure to tell you that Jey Uso was going to fight, was going to face the Intercontinental Champion, you know, or Xavier Woods. Sorry, this past Monday. They made sure to tell you that on the pay-per-view. So really, I mean, I was going to almost give them a pass right there for saying, well, it's the Wednesday after a pay-per-view, and they want people to order the pay-per-view, not just focus on the Dynamite after. But WWE, this pay-per-view was very well received by them, and they let you know at least 3 matches that were happening the Monday after. So there you go. I can't give them but so much of a pass. But, you know, canvassing 9-year-old kids, asking them, you know, why would I watch that? They're the enemy. And it doesn't speak. There are some people like that. There are some people that will watch AEW. In fact, they're probably the only people left that will watch AEW solely because, I don't like WWE. It's too kiddie. It's too kid friendly. You know what? That's the 100,000 that are watching them on Collision every week. Okay. You also have people that will watch wrestling as long as wrestling is in the title of the show. It could be naked men wrestling chimpanzees, and they'd still watch it because there's wrestling in the title. Anyway, I have a 15-year-old son, and he was watching AEW at the beginning of the year. In fact, we went this past March because we wanted to see Sting's last match. However, he does not like all the ultra-violent crap. He does not like all the... He can handle blood now, but he doesn't like bleeding in every single match. He doesn't like the daggone plastic bags over the head. He does not like all the glass. We sat there at that Revolution pay-per-view and watched Darby Allin go through glass and spin people go through glass in the corners. And we were more worried about the glass that was going out into the crowd. You know, one of the Young Bucks, or maybe I forget who it was, they go into that glass panel that's propped up in the corner. When they hit that glass, 90% of that glass shot off into the crowd, into the first 3 or 4 rows. We were more worried about those people getting cut because it's real glass. It's not fake crap. They don't use the sugar glass. If it was sugar glass, it would crystallize and become powdered. This didn't. This became little chunks, little cubes, and shot off into the crowd. That's why my son doesn't watch your show. That's why my 15-year-old son, and I have a 29-year-old son-in-law who does not watch your show because he can't stand the inconsistency of storylines, the ultra-violence, the stupidity, the announcers constantly arguing with themselves and making fun of the wrestlers, the fact that one wrestler wears a mask. Why is he wearing a mask? I mean, there's a lot of things I could pick up and tell you why people don't watch that show. And here lately, it's the writing, it's the booking, it's the inconsistency, it's the stupidity. But Dave Meltzer won't say that. Dave Meltzer won't tell you why. Dave Meltzer won't come out and go, he'll address the problem, but he don't address why the problem exists. He won't say, we don't know who's going to be on the show this week because Tony Khan won't tell you. Because Tony Khan doesn't know himself who's going to be on that show this Wednesday. That's the reason. But Dave won't say that. He just says, oh, we don't know. Oh, we don't know. It's okay. It's okay. We don't know. There's lots of other people who have done this before. There's lots of people who have done this before. That's what I get from Dave. Oh, it's, or, WWE does this too, so that makes it okay. No, it doesn't. Now you're comparing them to WWE just so you can have an out. Just so you can go, see, they do it too. It's like if you have a bowl of candy and your parents tell you and your brother or you and your sister, don't touch the candy. And then the parents walk back in the room and you have chocolate all over your face. And they go, didn't we tell you not to touch the candy? And you immediately go, but sister did it too, or brother did it too, and they're standing in the corner with chocolate on their faces too. The parents don't care about them. They're addressing you right then and there. They'll address the brother or the sister in a minute. Or maybe they'll go ahead and address you both at the same time. But they don't sit there, I wouldn't sit there and go, he did it too. They did it too. How stupid is that? How stupid is that, Dave? Makes me wonder what kind of parent you are. Because after that clip I played, he goes on a long diatribe about how his son goes to the New Japan shows every year, but he won't go to WWE. And he won't go to, but he'll go to AEW. Let me address this right here. Because I'm a guy who's been watching wrestling since I'm 6 years old. And I'm probably going to be an old man watching it in my 80s, okay? If I live that long. But I guarantee you the reason why my 15-year-old son still watches it is because me and him share that bond. We share something, and we text each other back and forth and talk about it with each other. We bond over it. The same way some dads bond with their kids over football and baseball and basketball. I choose to bond over, with my kid with wrestling. And I don't know that if I was still watching, if if I stopped watching, if he would still watch. So he still will not admit what the problem is. I bet you every single AEW show you've been to, you stupid moron. I swear you're like the Joe Biden of pro wrestling news. You don't know he just wanders around. Wondering what to do, what to say. I would love to see him at one of these meet and greets. He probably wanders onto the stage like Joe Biden does, looking aimlessly around like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And Alvarez has to dago, come here, Dave, take a seat. They're going to talk to you about the wrestling, Dave. I can see it now. That's what that's what Alvarez has to do to Meltzer. Dave, they want to talk to you about the wrestling. Oh, the wrestling? Yeah, we loved it back in my... Sitting there in his office. And somebody said Dave needs to clean his office. I had a comment on the last video I did. That's an old picture of him. His office that's nothing new. His office has looked like that for decades. That's an emergency. I guarantee you health and welfare would come in there and condemn that house. Can you imagine the mice making their nests out of all those papers he has laying around? Dave, you were at WrestleMania 31. What? Where? Yeah, I went to a wrestling show. Where? 25? No, 31, Dave. 31. Remember we went? It was in our backyard where the 49ers play, Dave. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. I remember. Give him a member berry. Would you? Let him eat the member berries. Dave, it's time for your member berry smoothie. Uncle Dave, wake up. Dave, can you hear me? Drink this, Dave. You'll feel better. Go on. Oh, man. Yeah, Dave, how can we trust a guy when he doesn't even remember what wrestling shows he's been to? You know, he remembers every Japan trip. He remembers every AEW thing. But here's a guy who rarely goes to WWE shit, and he can't remember when the last WrestleMania he went to was. Dave, $5 won't buy you a cup of coffee and a round trip train ticket and a piece of cheesecake anymore, Dave. Those days are gone. Let's come back, Dave. Come back to reality. I mean, you know, again, I hope this video gets around to old Dave. Like he cares, like he's going to listen, but still, he'll admit what the problem is, but he won't admit whose problem it is and whose fault it is. Because he's afraid to lose his access. Once again. Anyway, I think it's time we, let Dave wander into that long good night and stop giving him our money. Stop giving, I don't give him my money. I get sent his tomfoolery and buffoonery. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think of this in the comments below. Is it time for Dave to finally retire and just go off into the sunset, pass the torch on to somebody? Dave, it's time to get you back to the home for your member berry smoothie. Yes, we'll put yogurt in it, Dave. It's okay. But you need that. Somebody give him a member berry.